Sometimes you'll look around and realize no one's coming to save you. No support, no cheerleaders, no helping hands, just you, your dream, and the silence that tests your strength. But that's where greatness is born. Because the truth is, the strongest people you admire, they all started alone. Step 1. Every journey toward greatness begins in the quiet spaces of solitude. It's in those long, silent hours, when no one believes in your vision, when no one stands beside you, that the real work begins. Solitude isn't a punishment, it's a process. It strips away distractions, illusions, and noise until you are left face to face with the one person who truly matters, yourself. When the crowd disappears and the applause fades, you are forced to meet the real you, the one who dreams, doubts, hopes, and fears. And that meeting, that confrontation with your own soul, is where destiny starts taking shape. When you begin alone, it feels like the world has turned its back on you. You wonder why no one sees your potential, why no one shares your fire. But solitude isn't the absence of support, it's the presence of refinement. The silence you experience in those lonely days isn't empty, it's sacred. It is life giving you room to grow roots before you bloom. Every seed must break in the dark before it reaches the light. The same law applies to you. Before your success becomes visible to others, your spirit must first grow strong in hidden places. Solitude teaches you discipline. It shows you how to keep moving even when no one claps, how to believe even when there's no proof, and how to create even when no one is watching. It's easy to stay motivated when people are cheering for you, but true strength is born when you're working in silence, building in secret, fighting battles no one will ever see. Solitude trains your heart to depend on purpose, not praise. It pushes you to dig deeper, to listen to that small inner voice that keeps saying, keep going. Because when you learn to walk alone, you no longer fear being left behind. This journey also teaches you clarity. When you're surrounded by noise, you can't hear your own calling. But in solitude, the fog clears. You begin to understand what truly matters, what drains you, and what deserves your energy. You stop chasing validation and start chasing alignment. You stop asking, who will walk with me? And start realizing, I was meant to lead this path. Solitude makes you self-aware, self-reliant, and ultimately unshakable. It molds you quietly, slowly, and purposefully until one day you look back and realize everything you needed was already within you all along. Step 2. Failure as a private battle. Failure is not a public event. It is a private war that happens in the quiet corners of your heart. It doesn't announce itself with noise or drama. It arrives silently, often when you least expect it, and it breaks something deep within you. In those moments, you feel like the world has stopped noticing you. You try to explain, to justify, to prove that you were trying your best, but no one really understands. Because failure isn't something that can be shared completely. It's something that must be felt. It's the silent disappointment when plans collapse, the ache in your chest when effort meets emptiness, and the loneliness that follows when everyone else keeps moving forward, while you are left standing in the same place, staring at what's gone wrong. But this private battle is where the soul learns endurance. It's in the moments of unseen struggle that you begin to understand who you really are. When you fail, the mask falls off. You can't pretend anymore. You can't rely on luck, charm, or other people's belief in you. You are left alone with your truth, and that truth either breaks you or builds you. Failure doesn't destroy strong people. It purifies them. It burns away pride, comfort, and illusion, leaving only the essence of determination. It forces you to rebuild, not from applause or motivation, but from conviction. And conviction built in solitude is unshakable. In this private battle, you will cry when no one sees. You will question everything, your decisions, your worth, even your purpose. But that questioning is necessary. It's the internal friction that sharpens the blade of your character. Every failure brings with it a mirror, showing you not who you thought you were, but who you're meant to become. It's a teacher that doesn't speak softly. It speaks through silence, delay, and disappointment. Yet those who listen to its lessons rise differently. They don't rush anymore. They move with wisdom, with patience, with a deeper understanding of what it truly means to endure. Failure's greatest power is that it isolates you long enough to make you self-sufficient. When the crowd disappears, when validation fades, and when comfort turns cold, you learn to fight for your vision alone. You stop begging for support and start building inner strength. You realize that no one can save you from the sting of defeat, but no one can stop you from rising either. Step 3. Resilience over recognition. In a world that celebrates noise, recognition often looks like success. People crave applause, likes, and validation because it feels like proof that they matter. But true greatness doesn't come from recognition. It comes from resilience. Recognition is fleeting. It fades the moment attention shifts. Resilience, on the other hand, is eternal. It's the quiet strength that keeps you moving forward long after the spotlight is turned away. It's the voice inside that says, keep going, when the world says, you've failed. The strongest souls are not the ones who are celebrated, but the ones who keep standing when no one is watching. Resilience is born in the shadows, not in the crowd. It grows in moments of rejection, disappointment, and solitude. When you give everything you have and still fall short, resilience whispers that effort is never wasted. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every silence becomes a test, and every closed door becomes a redirection. Those who chase recognition often burn out when applause stops, but those who build resilience can walk through storms without losing their light. They understand that the goal is not to be seen, it is to become unbreakable. Recognition is external, it depends on others. Resilience is internal, it depends on faith. Recognition feeds the ego, but resilience feeds the soul. Recognition says, I'm valuable because people notice me. Resilience says, I'm valuable because I refuse to give up. The people who make history, who change lives, and who leave real impact rarely start with recognition. They start with rejection, failure, and doubt. But what keeps them moving is not the hope of being seen. It's the deep, sacred knowing that their effort has meaning, even when no one claps for it. Resilience transforms pain into power. It takes the moments when you could have quit and turns them into milestones. Every disappointment becomes fuel. Every loss becomes wisdom. You begin to realize that recognition may open doors, but resilience keeps them open. Recognition can make you popular, but resilience makes you permanent. And once you build that inner strength, once you learn to keep showing up without applause, you step into a level of peace no external validation can ever match. Because you no longer need to be seen, you simply need to be. Step 4, faith in the unseen. Faith in the unseen is the quiet courage to believe when there is no evidence, no signs, and no support. It is the decision to keep walking even when the path ahead is hidden. Every dream, every breakthrough, every miracle begins with that single step of faith, the moment you choose to trust what you cannot yet see. It's easy to believe when life is unfolding in your favor, but true faith begins where certainty ends. It's in those empty spaces between effort and result, between hope and manifestation, that your belief is tested. And in those moments, you are asked one simple question: will you trust the process even when you can't trace it? Faith in the unseen is not blind, it's bold. It's not pretending that everything is fine. It's knowing that even in chaos, something purposeful is happening behind the scenes. When you choose faith, you are choosing strength over sight. You are saying, I don't see the way, but I trust there is one. That trust keeps you moving through nights of doubt and seasons of waiting. It keeps your heart alive when logic tells you to quit, because faith is not about what you know. It's about what you believe despite not knowing. It's the invisible hand that lifts you when no one else can. The unseen is where the foundation of every success is laid. The roots of a tree grow deep underground before it ever touches the sky. Likewise, the seeds of your dreams must grow in silence before they bloom in light. During this time, faith becomes your vision. You start to see not with your eyes, but with your heart. You learn to recognize progress without visible proof. You begin to sense that every delay, every detour, every denial is not rejection, it's direction. The unseen becomes your greatest ally, shaping you quietly while the world remains unaware. When you hold faith in the unseen, you stop demanding immediate results. You begin to rest in the belief that everything meant for you is already aligning, even if you can't see it yet. You find peace in patience and strength in surrender, because deep down, you know the unseen is not empty. It is where the divine does its best work. Step 5, victory without validation. Victory without validation is the highest form of freedom a human being can experience. It is the kind of triumph that doesn't require applause, likes, or recognition to feel complete. It is the quiet satisfaction of knowing you fought your battles, stayed true to your purpose, and emerged stronger, even if no one ever notices. Most people chase validation because they've been taught that success only matters when it's seen. But the truth is, the most meaningful victories happen in silence. They happen when you overcome fear, when you rebuild after failure, when you keep going on days when your strength feels like it's fading. Those moments don't get headlines, but they shape the kind of person who no longer needs the world's approval to feel fulfilled. Validation is external. It depends on others to tell you that you're enough. But victory without validation is internal. It comes from your own acknowledgement that you've done your best, that you've conquered something within yourself. When you reach that stage, you no longer need to prove your worth, you simply live it. The world might not see your growth, but you will feel it in the calm confidence that begins to fill your heart. That confidence isn't loud, but it's unshakable. It whispers, "I made it through." And that whisper is worth more than any applause could ever give. When you stop depending on validation, you begin to live from authenticity instead of performance. You no longer do things to be seen, you do them because they are right. You stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. You learn that not every achievement will be recognized, not every effort will be appreciated, and not every success will be celebrated. And that's okay, because true victory is not about being admired, it's about being aligned. It's about knowing that you stayed faithful to your journey, even when no one believed in it but you. Victory without validation also brings peace. You realize that the world's opinions are temporary, but your inner growth is permanent. You stop measuring your worth by reactions and start measuring it by resilience. The joy you feel becomes private, sacred, and deeply personal. You begin to walk differently, not to impress, but to express the strength of someone who no longer needs to be seen to know they've already won. Step 6, becoming unshakable. Becoming unshakable is not about living a life free from pain, fear, or failure. It's about building a foundation strong enough to stand firm through all of them. It's not that the storms stop coming, it's that they no longer move you the way they used to. You begin to realize that strength isn't built in comfort, it's forged in chaos. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every season of loss becomes a chisel that shapes your spirit into something solid, something steady. The unshakable person doesn't rise because life got easier. They rise because they learned how to remain calm in the middle of the storm. Their peace no longer depends on the weather. It depends on their faith, their focus, and their refusal to quit. To become unshakable, you must first be broken. You must go through moments that test your patience, your courage, and your belief in yourself. You must face silence where there used to be support and darkness where there used to be clarity. But in those moments of breaking, you begin to rebuild differently. You stop relying on temporary sources of strength, people, praise, or circumstances, and you start relying on your own resilience. You discover that your peace is not something the world gives you. It's something you choose every day. It's the stillness that remains when everything else falls apart. Being unshakable doesn't mean being emotionless. It means mastering your emotions so they no longer control you. You still feel pain, but you don't let it define you. You still face fear, but you don't let it stop you. You learn to pause instead of panic, to think instead of react, and to trust instead of doubt. Slowly, you become the kind of person whose calm is contagious, whose faith is unmovable, and whose energy is grounded even in chaos. You begin to understand that power isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. The unshakable are not the loudest in the room, they are the most centered. They move with quiet confidence because they have already survived everything that was meant to destroy them. They no longer chase certainty, they carry it within. Their roots run deep, their heart stands firm, and no matter what the world takes from them, they know they can rise again. So if you're standing alone right now, remember, this is not your ending, it's your becoming. Every silent battle is building a strength the world can't see yet. Keep going, keep believing, because you started alone, you failed alone, and soon you'll rise and win alone.